Greetings all and welcome to Spooky or Nah. Today I'm talking about something a little different. I'm going to talk about some of my personal supernatural experiences, I suppose you could call them. I might just call them experiences because I'm neither for or against the whole idea of ghosts and the paranormal. You know, I'm on the fence about it. That's why I love talking about this stuff, analyzing these kinds of videos and talking about all this with you guys, because it's just as exciting for me because I'm learning a lot as well. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. The experience I want to talk about first is I was a little kid and I was probably about 10 years old and I had a single bed and the door was kind of to my right, I suppose, so my feet were kind of near the opening of the door, I suppose you could kind of say it, but to the left. I don't know, it's a little bit hard to explain. I had a wooden frame bed, so the end of the bed had, you know, it wasn't just sort of like the end of the mattress, it had a wooden frame sort of like on the end of it as well. So anyway, this happened on two occasions. I woke up one night from sleeping, and at the end of my bed I saw a boy. Now this boy kind of looked like my younger brother Darcy. You know, he would have been about 7 or 6 or something at the time. I thought it was him, and you know, I was like, oh, you know, Darcy, what are you doing, kind of thing. But something didn't feel right about it, and it felt just a little bit different. One, Darcy's never done this before, and two, the first thing I noticed that was really strange was, as I said, the door was kind of over to my sort of 2 o'clock, I suppose you could say. The door was open, the hallway light was on, so the light was coming through. You could see the light hitting my blanket and stuff like that, but the light on this boy's face looked like it was hitting from the other side, and there was nothing to reflect off of to hit the other side, so there was no light on this side of his body where there should have been light. It was on the other side, and I was like, okay, that's really, really strange. And at the start I'd kind of just half woken up, and I was filled with fear all of a sudden immediately when I realized the light thing, and I was like, oh my gosh. I couldn't see any hair, I couldn't see any face, but it looked like a boy, it looked like a proper, you know, and I was only, as I said, 10 at this stage as well, so I was young, I was, you know, pretty freaked out, you know, it was really spooky. And then the second time is when at the same house where I grew up, so I actually switched rooms with my sister, and it happened in that room as well, and this is probably a couple of years later. I woke up again, and then the boy's there again. Same thing, this room was pretty similar, how the door is about sort of to my 2 o'clock, so the light's coming in this way, and again the light was on the other side of the boy's face, and it was super creepy because again I'd woken up and I see this boy, but this time it was different obviously because I'd experienced this before, so I was immediately creeped out. I was freaked out straight away. There wasn't, I didn't process it this time, I didn't do anything like that. I just knew straight away I'd seen this before, this has happened before, and it creeped me out. And both times, I forgot to mention as well, felt like it was going on for hours. Like it felt like it was never ending. We were just in a staring contest. Like I can never remember falling back to sleep. I can never, you know, I just remember waking up the next day, and you know, it shook me up for a long time after that. You know, like a couple months after that. You know, I thought about it a lot, and sort of as a kid, it's hard for you to understand those things because I was only, as I said, I was only 10, probably, you know, 11 or 12 the next time it happened. So on both occasions, I was extremely spooked out. You know, it was a really weird thing. Now, obviously, a logical explanation could be that I was dreaming, and I've thought about that a lot. Personally, I mean, I'm probably leaning nowadays more to the possibility that I was dreaming, but there's still that part of me that is unsure, because having actually experienced it, and it's never left my mind. It's still as fresh in my memory today as it was the next morning that you know, after it had happened. I can never really explain it. I can never really understand it when I think about it, because it felt like I wasn't dreaming. It felt like I was very much awake. I remember sweating. I remember having the doona up over my lip. I remember the hot and cold sweats I was getting. I remember wanting to look at the hallway, wanting to scream for help, but not being able to. I remember everything about it, and it all felt so real. It felt really real. So if it was a dream, it was the most authentic, realistic dream I've ever had in my life. I'm not saying it was a ghost or something supernatural or paranormal. I'm not saying it was, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying it was really creepy. It spooked me out, and to this day, it still, honestly, still haunts me a little bit. Alright, number 2, and this story is a little bit shorter. I was home alone one day. I grew up on a farm. This is the same place as the story before with the little boy. I grew up on a farm, and this particular day, this is probably about 185 acres, big farm, very spacious. And where I live in Australia, you know, this particular part of the country is very, very open, very, lots of paddocks, stuff like that. So there's not many people around. Anyway, my dad and mum, all my siblings, they'd gone out for the day. They'd all left. I was home alone. I was watching TV. The TV was rather quiet. I was watching some show. I was probably about 12 at this stage. Maybe... No, it would have been about 12. And I remember I was sitting on the couch watching TV. And I remember this so clearly because behind me was the house was a long single-story house. And then the garage was at the end. And I remember so clearly I was sitting there watching TV. And then this really loud scream, like a female scream, came from, so it sounded like the old damsel in distress in the movies kind of thing, really high-pitched, loud scream. And I remember shooting up from my chair. I remember sort of looking back and thinking, you know, what the heck was that? And I got chills down my spine, and I ran straight away to the garage. I didn't even think about it, because I'm thinking, maybe one of my younger sisters had stayed behind and they'd been in the garage, and maybe they've hurt themselves, maybe they've fallen over, or something has happened. I'm thinking like, oh, someone must be here, I've got to go help them. As you can probably guess, I ran to the garage, no one was there. At that stage, I still didn't think anything of it because I was still looking around trying to see what was going on, and I think at that stage I still didn't have a mobile phone or a cell phone. So I couldn't call anyone. I sort of looked around the farm, looked around the sheds to make sure that, you know, nothing had happened and that no one was there, and sure enough, no one was there. And then that's when I sort of went back inside, and I kind of went to my room, and then, you know, sat in the corner of my room, so that way, like on my bed, so that way I could see everything in front of me. And I was pretty creeped out after that. I don't know what it was. I remember as a kid it feeling very real, it being very real. I remember it in my head really, really clearly, so it's in my memory very clearly. And over the years, the picture has never changed. It's never changed from what it originally was. The scream, everything in my head is still so familiar, like it happened yesterday. Really, really creeped me out. I don't know what an explanation could be. By the way, guys, if you think you've got explanations for this, and you want to have a crack at, you know, giving me an idea of what these things could be, give me your opinions, thoughts, and stuff like that. Even share your own experiences or happenings with this kind of stuff, supernatural, paranormal, or what you think might have been. Yeah, rebuttals, whatever. Put them down in the comments. We're all, I want this channel to be open-minded for everyone. You know, feel free to talk about your opinions and beliefs, what you think about it all, because, you know, I'm really curious as well. Okay, and the last story I have for you guys today is not so much one particular story. It's sort of like a bunch of little stories, sort of spread out over the course of my life. This one's probably a little more common for a lot of people, but shadow people. If you're not familiar with shadow people are basically just, I suppose, well, supposedly they're black silhouette slash shadows that you'll see out of the corner of your eye, or you'll see when you're walking around. There might be a shadow of a person, or a silhouette of a person sort of standing in a doorway or something, or in a room or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on the backstory and if there's any folklore behind them. I'm not 100% sure. I think there is, but we can go into that in another video, which will be good. But anyway, I've seen a lot of this over the course of my life. I've seen them in rooms, I've seen them in my room, I've seen them every house I've ever lived in, I've seen them the corner of my eye, at night as well. Now, obviously there can be a lot of things that can explain shadow people. I mean, light disturbances. So if you go from a dark room to a light room, or a light room to a dark room, there can be blurs, there can be things that can be made out to be shadows. They can sort of look like shadow people. Another explanation is that, you know, sometimes your mind just plays tricks on you. You know, you can be looking at something and, you know, a bird might fly past the window, or might be a small shadow in the corner of a room that, as you've glimpsed past pretty fast, you know, your vision tends to blur things when you move. You know, you move your head fast, move your eyes fast. Again, your brain can, you know, sometimes translate that into a figure. So that's another explanation. At least from my point of view, I would say that would be an explanation too. It's an interesting one. And for me personally, sometimes these figures can be like very pronounced, like shoulders, head, everything like that, which again can come down to light, to ambient light in the room, to shadows cast off wardrobes, walls, features, stuff like that inside your house and whatnot. It can be translated to that, you know, because it's not like I've ever been able to see it and then look back and then look and be like, oh wow, that's the shape of a human being. Your mind just translates it into something that it's familiar with. Like when you see people out in the street, I mean, you see people all the time. You know the shape of a person, and so does your brain. That is something, you know, that could very well be a logical explanation for shadow people. But anyway, we won't get too much into depth with that now. We can do that in another video. But anyway, I thought I would just, well, I mean, I was supposed to quickly do this, but this has not been quick at all. But this was supposed to be just a quick video about my experiences. I'm really hoping that you guys feel encouraged to share your experiences in the comments as well. Just let me know, just talk about it, you know. Let me know some potential explanations to my stories that you might have. If you think you've got an idea of what it might be, you know, if you think my experiences were genuinely supernatural or not, whatever it is, post them in the comments, guys. Go to town, have fun. You know, I'm open-minded. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Anyway, guys, I've kept you long enough, so thank you for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell notification so you find out when I'm posting my next video, or when I've posted my next video rather. Yeah, that's it. I don't really have anything else to say, so until the next one, keep it spooky. Can you feel